هي قطاعات تعد المحرك الرئيسي للنمو المستدام والابتكار في اقتصاد الغد، وتوفر مجالات واسعة لنمو شركاتنا. وختاماً، فإننا نؤمن بتكامل مصالحنا، إذ يمثل السوق المصري نافذة استراتيجية أمام الاستثمارات الفرنسية للوصول إلى أسواق الشرق الأوسط وأفريقيا والعالم، فيما يعد السوق الفرنسي أحد أهم الوجهات للصادرات المصرية بالنظر إلى مكانته الرائدة في الاتحاد الأوروبي. وإنني إذ أؤكد أننا ماضون معا نحو شراكة اقتصادية أكثر عمقاً وازدهاراً تضمن مصالح بلدينا وتحقق التنمية المستدامة لشعبينا الصديقين. شكراً لفخامتكم، والسلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته.
شكراً جزيلاً لمعالي المهندس حسن الخطيب وزير الاستثمار والتجارة الخارجية. وننطلق سريعاً بهذه الجلسة المهمة التي تجمع نخبة من الخبراء في مجالات متعددة يعرضون خلالها تجاربهم الاستثمارية في قطاع الرعاية الصحية، الذكاء الاصطناعي، التكنولوجيا والطاقة الجديدة والمتجددة. أدعو المتحدثين السيدة كريستال ساجبيني رئيس المنطقة الدولية سانوفي، الدكتور عمرو ممدوح الرئيس التنفيذي لشركة جيبتو فارما، السيد روبرت كلاين الرئيس التنفيذي لشركة فولتاليا، السيدة باكينام كفافي الرئيس التنفيذي لشركة طاقة عربية، السيد أيمن عزت الرئيس التنفيذي لكاب جيميناي ورئيس مجلس الأعمال المصري الفرنسي مادف، أخيراً وليس آخراً السيدة كريمة الحكيم المديرة الإقليمية لشركة بلاج أند بلاي. ونبدأ معك السيدة ساجبيني رئيس المنطقة الدولية لسانوفي. تفضلي.
A paradigm shift in global trading patterns since the Second World War. That's what has happened on the 2nd of April, and of course this introduces a lot of uncertainty, lack of predictability, inflation fears, and the fact that tariffs are in the end the taxes which will be paid by the businesses, but especially by the final consumers. So that in the end increases of course the fears among the consumers. Can I spend so much? Will we have inflation? What would be the future of my job? Or how this would reflect on my city, on my factory, and on my family situation? So these are I would say the debates which are now taking place, I would say, all across the world. And be it in Europe, be it in the US, and I'm not even going to tell you the distressed phone calls we are getting from emerging economies and from the developing countries, which are very much hit twice by the lack of development aid and by very high import tariffs. So this is, I think, reflected in this mood. Therefore, I think we are so careful, and therefore we've been saying from the beginning that our response would be measured, would be well calibrated, and we always add the sentence, we would prefer negotiations and negotiated solutions, because we know what kind of impact this might have on the real economy and on the real people. And therefore you see that we are really progressing step by step in this regard, but I wouldn't dare to speculate if it would have any impact on decision making across the Atlantic.
Thank you. And the last question, Kim, please.
Thank you. Kim McCrail from the Wall Street Journal. I'd like to ask for the options, the things that the European Commission has to bring to the table in negotiations with the United States, beyond the idea of zero for zero tariffs. What else are you bringing? And is there anything in particular that you're bringing to address some of the fundamental concerns around the trade deficit, the imbalance that the U.S. talks about? For example, I think many of us have heard in the past the idea of perhaps offering to buy more liquefied natural gas or offering to buy more defense equipment. Are things like that still on the table, and have you brought any of that up in the discussions that you've had? And just a very quick separate question. For the revised list of retaliatory tariffs, the one that is coming soon, can you tell us what the value of the goods will be that will be targeted in the end? So I think you said up to 26 billion previously. Will it still be at that level, or will it be somewhere lower? Thanks.
Thank you. Thank you very much for your question. If it comes to your inquiry of what we are bringing to the table, at first I have to say that from the outset we have clear difference of opinion about the figures if it comes to our trade, because our figures, I believe that they are very, 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 very precise, saying that indeed the United States have trade surplus of 154 billion euros, but at the same time we shouldn't forget that trade in services is a strong feature of U.S. businesses, and here the United States of America has a surplus of 104 billion euros. So altogether, in the deficit in a trade of goods and services, because this is the category which is, I would say, internationally recognized, we have a deficit of 50 billion. Compare it to 1.5 trillion. So we are talking about like 3% of our turnover. On top of it, I would add that we have mutual investment in the realm of 5 trillion euros, and around 300 billion euros is flying over Atlantic Ocean every year, and the investment from the savings account and pension funds from Europe into the New York Stock Exchange, into the startups, or into the companies in the United States of America. I'm not even going into the direction of billions the U.S. companies are generating from online advertising and different digital services that they're offering in Europe. So from what I'm, I think, describing here, we really believe that we have balanced trade, which was working well, which was really built over the decades as a transatlantic trade, where I would say the global supply chains been kind of factoring in the fact that the tariffs between two has been very, very small. We are talking about, if you take U.S. technology, between 3 and 5%. If you take the European methodology, it's around it was unfortunately around 1%. So, of course, this is I would say the starting point where clearly from the outset we've been looking from the two different angles. Of course, if you have to look for the ways how to rebalance the 50 billion euros of deficit, I think that's something what we can discuss, and we can find a solution very quickly. As you know, for sure we will need more LNG. For sure, there are the products which are very much appreciated on the EU markets, like the soybeans, and of course we could go into the greater details in the discussions which we actually started to have: critical raw materials, semiconductors, and many other issues. So if we know that this is the issue, I think then we can sort it out very quickly. But my feeling is that this is at this stage more of a, I would say, the decision of U.S. administration to kind of transform the global trading system, and they see the tariffs as a corrective measures for many of the political goals, which I'm sure the U.S. administration can describe much better than I do. Then, if it comes to the volume of the countermeasures, you've been right that if it comes to steel, aluminium, and derivatives, so here we are talking about 26 billion euros. We are finalizing the list tonight, so it would be, for me, premature to say, but I can tell you that it will not be up to the level of 26 billion euros, because we've been listening very carefully to our member states. We wanted to make sure that the burden is spread fairly among all member states. And as I said, we are not in the business of tit for tat or penny for penny. We do this because we are forced to by these measures coming from the US side, and we still hope that in the end we will be coming to the fruitful, mutually advantageous trading relationship. Thank you.
Let me just weigh in on the question on how can we rebalance the transatlantic trade, and again, emphasis on how crucial this relationship is for both Europe and the United States. Millions of jobs depend on this relationship on both sides of the Atlantic. And it's a little bit of a question to the answer to the previous question as well, whether the market can change the mind of President Trump. I think the question is really, what are the tariffs for? Are they there as a source of revenue through the External Revenue Service? Are they meant to be an opening for the negotiations, or are they there to really change the structure of U.S. and global economy? And to be frank, I don't think, from what I heard today, that we have a clear answer to this crucial question. And to get an agreement, we need to get the answer to this question. Again, it takes two to tango, and to paraphrase this, I think this is time for us to begin to tango earnestly, and perhaps with this we'll close.
Thank you very much, Minister. Thank you very much, Commissioner. Apologies to those of you in the room and online that didn't have a chance to ask a question, but I'm sure that, on our side, the Presidency services, you can text me your question, and I'm sure on the Commission side, also colleagues would be happy to help you, but we just run out of time, and there are other points of the agenda of Minister and Commissioner. So again, apologies for that, but thank you for such a numerous presence in beautiful city of Luxembourg, and see you next time. Thank you.
Thank you.